Most people believe that if you're smart enough, wealth eventually follows. It sounds reasonable. Study harder. Read more. Earn better grades. Build expertise. Then, one day, the financial rewards arrive as if intelligence itself were a currency. But look more carefully. Some of the brightest people spend their entire lives trapped in financial anxiety, while others, with far less academic brilliance, quietly accumulate influence, ownership, and freedom. So what happened? The uncomfortable truth is that intelligence and wealth are playing different games. One rewards finding the right answer. The other rewards seeing the hidden structure behind the question. What if the habits that made you successful in school are the very habits keeping you financially ordinary? What if the world isn't withholding opportunity from smart people, but quietly rewarding a different kind of thinking altogether? In this video, you'll discover 8 books that reveal the invisible game beneath money, power, status, and human behavior. Not because they offer shortcuts to wealth, but because they teach you to see what most people never notice. Once you see these patterns, it becomes difficult to look at success the same way again. Subscribe if you're drawn to ideas that make you calmer, sharper, and harder to mislead. Not louder. Just clearer. Because the greatest advantage is rarely having more information. It is seeing reality with greater precision than the people around you. Now let's step inside the hidden library. Most books teach you what to think. A rare few teach you how to see. That difference changes everything. Money is often treated as a mathematical problem. Work harder. Save more. Invest wisely. Follow the plan. Yet beneath every financial outcome lies something far less visible: perception. The ability to recognize incentives before others do. To distinguish status from value. To understand why people make irrational decisions. To notice the invisible forces shaping markets, careers, and relationships. This is the game behind the game. Most people spend years improving their knowledge while neglecting the mental models that determine how knowledge is actually used. They become more informed without becoming more perceptive. The books in this video are not united by genre. Some explore psychology. Others examine power, economics, decision-making, or strategy. What connects them is something deeper. Each removes one illusion. Each reveals a hidden structure operating beneath ordinary behavior. And with every illusion that disappears, your understanding of wealth becomes a little less dependent on luck, and a little more grounded in strategic clarity. The first illusion is also the most dangerous. It is the belief that intelligence alone is enough. 1. The Intelligence Trap. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Most people think wealth is built by making brilliant financial decisions. This book argues something far more unsettling. Wealth is usually built by making fewer emotional mistakes. The psychology of money is not really about investing. It is about behavior under pressure. It reveals that money is less a test of intelligence than a test of patience, humility, and emotional control. That is why highly educated professionals can lose fortunes chasing certainty, while ordinary investors quietly build wealth through consistency. The market does not reward the highest IQ. It rewards those who can remain rational when everyone else is reacting. Most people miss this because intelligence creates a dangerous illusion. The smarter you become, the easier it is to believe every decision can be optimized. Every risk calculated. Every outcome predicted. But reality refuses to cooperate. Markets change. People panic. Opportunities appear disguised as uncertainty. Those who survive are often those willing to admit what they cannot know. You can see this far beyond investing. Careers collapse because people chase prestige instead of freedom. Businesses fail because founders become emotionally attached to ideas instead of adapting to evidence. Even personal finances suffer because spending becomes a performance for other people's approval. Here is the mirror moment. Have you ever mistaken being right for making progress? Have you defended a decision simply because your identity became attached to it? Intelligence can become a prison when it convinces you that changing your mind is weakness instead of wisdom. The upgrade rule is simple. Measure success by the quality of your behavior, not the brilliance of your predictions. Because wealth rarely belongs to the person who knows the most. It often belongs to the one who stays calm the longest. 2. The rules nobody announces. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Most people believe the world rewards competence. Competence matters. But perception often decides who receives the opportunity to demonstrate it. This is why the 48 Laws of Power continues to provoke strong reactions. Many dismiss it as manipulative. Others treat it like a handbook for domination. Both interpretations miss the deeper lesson. This book is not about becoming ruthless. It is about recognizing that every institution, workplace, and social circle contains an invisible hierarchy shaped by incentives, reputation, timing, and perception. Whether you acknowledge those dynamics or not, they continue to shape outcomes. Smart people frequently assume that if their work is good enough, it will naturally be recognized. History suggests otherwise. Ideas require advocates. Talent requires visibility. Value often depends on how others perceive it before they understand it. This explains why equally capable people experience completely different careers. One quietly produces exceptional work while remaining invisible. Another understands the psychology of trust, influence, and strategic positioning, and opportunities seem to find them. The real danger is not that people play power games. It is believing they do not. That belief leaves you reacting to forces you never noticed. Here is the mirror moment. How many times have you called a decision unfair without asking what invisible incentives produced it? How often have you confused merit with influence? Those questions are uncomfortable because they expose the gap between how we wish the world operated and how it often does. The upgrade rule is this. Do not become obsessed with power. Become fluent in its language. Once you understand the hidden structure behind status, trust, and perception, you stop taking outcomes personally. You begin reading the room before trying to change it. 3. The Comfort of Being Right. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. The greatest financial mistakes rarely feel like mistakes when they begin. They feel obvious. That is the quiet warning at the heart of thinking, fast and slow. Daniel Kahneman reveals that the human mind was not designed to seek truth above all else. It was designed to make quick judgments that helped us survive. Those instincts remain remarkably useful in many situations. But in a complex economy, they can become expensive. We see patterns where none exist. We grow overconfident after a few successes. We interpret random events as proof of our own skill. We remember evidence that supports our beliefs and quietly ignore everything else. The frightening part is that intelligence does not erase these biases. In many cases, it strengthens them. A brilliant mind can build extraordinarily convincing arguments for completely flawed conclusions. Intelligence becomes a lawyer defending the ego instead of a scientist searching for reality. Most people never notice this because confidence feels identical to accuracy from the inside. That is why speculative bubbles attract highly educated investors. Why businesses double down on failing strategies. Why people remain loyal to careers that stopped serving them years ago. They are not protecting the truth. They are protecting a story. Here is the mirror moment. What belief about money, success, or your own potential have you never seriously questioned? Not because it has been proven true, but because it has become familiar. Familiarity is one of the mind's favorite disguises. The upgrade rule is to treat certainty with suspicion. Build systems that challenge your assumptions. Seek evidence that contradicts your conclusions. Reward yourself for changing your mind when reality demands it. Because the people who adapt fastest are rarely those who think the fastest. They are the ones willing to admit they may have been seeing the wrong game all along. 4. The Invisible Ceiling. The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco. Most people think the path to wealth is simply a longer version of the path to a paycheck. Study. Work. Save. Repeat. This book challenges that assumption at its foundation. The Millionaire Fastlane is not an argument against hard work. It is an argument against confusing effort with leverage. Many intelligent people spend decades becoming exceptionally valuable employees. They master their craft, earn promotions, and gradually increase their income. Yet they remain bound by a hidden ceiling. Their time. No matter how capable you become, there are only so many hours you can sell. The system rewards you for your reliability, but it rarely rewards you with ownership. That is the invisible game most people never notice. The wealthiest individuals are often not those who work the hardest. They build assets that continue creating value after the work has been done. Businesses. Intellectual property. Software. Investments. Systems that scale beyond their direct involvement. The real danger is not having a job. It is believing that a job alone can create lasting financial freedom. Here is the mirror moment. Are you becoming more valuable each year? Or are you simply becoming more expensive to hire? There is a profound difference. One builds independence. The other deepens dependence on the next paycheck. The upgrade rule is this. Stop asking how to earn more from your time. Start asking how your time can create something that continues working without you. Once you see leverage, your definition of productivity changes forever. 5. Status is more expensive than luxury. The Almanack of Naval Ravikant by Eric Jorgensen. Most people chase wealth. What they are actually chasing is status. And the two are rarely the same. The Almanack of Naval Ravikant quietly dismantles one of the strongest forces shaping modern life, the desire to be seen as successful. Status depends on comparison. Wealth creates options. One requires an audience. The other requires ownership. This distinction explains why many intelligent people earn impressive incomes while remaining financially fragile. They buy symbols of achievement before they build the freedom those symbols are meant to represent. A larger house. A prestigious title. A luxury lifestyle. Each purchase appears reasonable in isolation. Together, they become invisible obligations. Most people never notice this because society celebrates visible success far more enthusiastically than invisible independence. No one applauds the person who quietly accumulates assets, protects their time, and declines opportunities that increase status but reduce freedom. Yet that person often becomes wealthier than the one receiving admiration. Here is the mirror moment. How many of your ambitions genuinely belong to you? And how many were borrowed from people whose approval you unconsciously sought? That question is difficult because status often disguises itself as personal desire. The upgrade rule is simple. Choose ownership over appearance. Choose freedom over recognition. The moment you stop purchasing other people's admiration, you begin investing in your own autonomy. Quiet wealth rarely announces itself. It simply removes the need to impress anyone. 6. The market rewards what you build. Poor Charlie's Almanack by Charles T. Munger. Most people believe knowledge is accumulated. Charlie Munger believed wisdom is connected. That difference changes everything. Poor Charlie's Almanack is not merely a collection of investing lessons. It is a philosophy of perception. Munger argues that reality cannot be understood through a single discipline. Economics explains one part. Psychology explains another. Biology, mathematics, history, engineering, and human incentives all reveal different pieces of the same puzzle. He called these mental models. Together, they create a clearer map of reality. Most intelligent people become specialists. Specialization creates expertise. But expertise without perspective often creates blind spots. The entrepreneur who understands technology but ignores human behavior struggles to build products people actually want. The investor who masters finance but misunderstands psychology panics at precisely the wrong moment. The leader who understands strategy but ignores incentives slowly loses trust. The market does not reward isolated intelligence. It rewards useful understanding. Here is the mirror moment. Are you collecting knowledge because it feels impressive? Or because it helps you solve problems that other people cannot? Those are very different pursuits. One feeds the ego. The other creates value. The upgrade rule is this. Read across disciplines. Learn to connect ideas that most people keep separate. Because wealth follows those who solve reality as it exists, not as it appears from inside a single field of expertise. 7. The network hidden behind every fortune. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. Many people believe success is a solitary achievement. The evidence tells another story. Behind almost every remarkable career lies an invisible network of trust. Never Eat Alone is not really about networking. It is about becoming the kind of person others remember when opportunity appears. That distinction matters. Most people approach relationships as transactions. They ask what someone can offer them. They collect business cards, attend events, and mistake proximity for connection. Real influence grows differently. It grows through generosity, consistency, reliability. People remember those who solve problems before asking for rewards. Trust compounds in much the same way money does. Slowly. Quietly. Then all at once. This is why two people with identical talent often experience completely different lives. One relies exclusively on credentials. The other builds genuine relationships that open doors no resume ever could. The real danger is not lacking connections. It is believing relationships become important only after you need them. By then, it is usually too late. Here is the mirror moment. When was the last time you created value for someone without expecting anything in return? If that question feels uncomfortable, it may reveal that your network has been built on convenience instead of contribution. The upgrade rule is this. Treat trust as an asset. Invest in people long before opportunity arrives. Because the strongest opportunities rarely come from strangers. They come from people who already know exactly who you are. 8. The Illusion. The Sovereign Individual by James Dale Davidson and William Rees-Mogg. Every generation assumes the rules it inherited will continue. History rarely agrees. The sovereign individual asks an unsettling question. What happens when the systems people depend upon begin to change faster than their assumptions? The book explores how technology reshapes power, work, wealth, and national boundaries. Whether every prediction proves correct is less important than the habit of thinking it encourages. It teaches you to look beyond the present moment. Most people prepare for the future by improving their position inside existing systems. A promotion. Another degree. A safer career. But history repeatedly shows that periods of transformation reward those who understand the direction of change before it becomes obvious. The invisible game is not predicting the future perfectly. It is recognizing when yesterday's rules are quietly losing their authority. Here is the mirror moment. If everything that currently defines your financial security disappeared tomorrow, what abilities would still create value? Your answer reveals whether you own skills. Or whether you merely occupy a position. The upgrade rule is this. Build adaptability before necessity demands it. Own capabilities that travel across industries, technologies, and economic cycles. Because the people who remain free are rarely those who mastered one system. They are the ones who learned how to recognize a new one before everyone else. When these books are examined together, a deeper pattern appears. None of them claim that intelligence is unimportant. They reveal something more uncomfortable. Intelligence without perception is often expensive. The first book teaches that emotions quietly shape financial outcomes more than knowledge ever will. The second exposes that power follows incentives and perception, not simply merit. The third reminds you that the mind can become trapped by its own certainty. The fourth shifts your attention from effort to leverage. The fifth separates the pursuit of freedom from the pursuit of admiration. The sixth demonstrates that wisdom emerges when different disciplines are connected into a single model of reality. The seventh reveals that trust compounds just as powerfully as capital. And the eighth forces you to recognize that every system has an expiration date. Viewed separately, these are books about money, psychology, investing, relationships, or strategy. Viewed together, they become something else. A map of the invisible game. The game beneath careers. The game beneath markets. The game beneath status. The game beneath nearly every decision that shapes a life. Most people spend years collecting information, believing that another book, another course, or another credential will finally unlock the future they want. But information is rarely the missing piece. Interpretation is. The people who quietly build wealth often see the same world everyone else sees. They simply notice different things. They pay attention to incentives instead of appearances. To ownership instead of income. To adaptability instead of certainty. To long-term compounding instead of short-term recognition. That is why two people can read the same headlines, work in the same industry, and possess similar intelligence, yet arrive at entirely different lives. One reacts to the visible world. The other learns to read the hidden structure beneath it. And once that hidden structure becomes visible, many of the world's contradictions begin to make sense. You stop asking why some people advance while others remain stuck. You begin asking a better question. What invisible game are they playing that I have not yet learned to see? That question alone can change the direction of a life. If these books share one lesson, it is this. Wealth is rarely withheld because people lack intelligence. More often, it remains out of reach because they are solving the wrong problem. The visible world rewards knowledge. The invisible world rewards perception. And perception can be trained. If this video sharpened the way you see the world, subscribe for more essays that uncover the hidden frameworks behind power, psychology, wealth, and human behavior. Not to give you more information. To help you see reality with greater clarity. In the next essay, we'll explore another question hiding in plain sight. Why do some people become impossible to manipulate, while others spend their entire lives reacting to forces they never even notice? Until then, keep reading. Keep observing. And remember, the greatest advantage is not knowing more. It is seeing what most people never notice.